Hey everybody, Nicholas here with Jamsey Online. If you've watched my channel, this 2-cylinder John Deere block right here might be a little bit familiar. This is a block that we installed sleeves in a little while back, but we made a mistake and the comments on YouTube and on TikTok pointed it out to us. And basically what happened is we didn't realize that the bottom oil control ring on the pistons, actually when this engine is in operation, the stroke of it comes clear to the very edge of the cylinder. Now in that video you'll see that when I installed the sleeves, I left, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch here towards the bottom and chamfered that into it so that it blended nicely. But what's going to happen on this engine, and we had the customer, after we saw the comments, we called the customer and had them check it before anything went too far. And basically, yes, the oil control ring drops past this edge of the sleeve here into this part of the cylinder that's bigger, and basically that oil ring will catch on the sleeve on the edge that I left. So we're having to go in and fix this now. Now, I don't care how many jobs you do, you're going to run into new things that you learn, especially when you don't have the entire engine in your hands to look at, and that's kind of the case here. When I was doing the repair, I thought this would be fine. Dad thought it would be fine. We had never ran into this issue before, but it's just something that we kind of overlooked and a learning experience for us. Got the block mounted up, we're level. I'm going to get centered up on one of the 2 cylinders to start on. What we're going to be doing is installing a short sleeve just at the very bottom half of that cylinder. Well, not even half, just 2.5 inches at the bottom of the cylinder. And I'm guessing there'll be some comments saying that they don't like that, but doesn't matter. You guys aren't the ones who have to warranty it. And we're going to give this guy a lifetime warranty. If anything goes wrong with the repair that I'm doing right here, we will cover it. So I'm confident that it's going to work. Dad's confident that it's going to work. Let's get into it. I have 2 of these sleeves. They're 3 inches long right now. So I'm going to cut to a depth of 2.5 inches on the block. That'll leave 1/2 inch at the top that I can trim off. The current bore size is 5.500. To get to the size that I need for these to have the correct amount of press fit, I need to cut to 5.688. That'll be my final cut. My first cut, I'm going to do that in 3 separate steps. So I'm going to do the first cut of 5.589. That's going to take 89 thousandths on the first cut. Then I'm going to do another 89 thousandths on the second cut to 5.678. And then we'll do our final cut to 5.688, which will be a 10 thousandths finished cut to get us to that correct size. So I got everything centered up. I'm good to go on this cylinder. I got my stop set just to prevent us from, accidentally boring way farther than we want to, because we only want to go 2.5 inches down. I zeroed the DRO at right here so that we can keep an eye on that and go to our 2.5 inches. And I've got my cutter set up to the first rough cut. So let's give it a go. First rough cut on that cylinder is done. I didn't like the way the cutter sounded, so I'm putting in a new cutter. Well, not a new one, but a gently used cutter. I don't want to blow a new cutter on a rough cut. But I only have 2 of these tool holders, so I'm going to move over to this cylinder and do my rough cut. Then I'll do my second rough cut and my finish cut, and then we'll move back to this cylinder to do our second rough cut and our finish cut.
That's a lot of chips.
So I was going to set up for my finish cut, but I decided I'm going to go 5 thou under that, and then I can measure it, make sure that it's cutting the way I think it is, and then we'll go to our finish cut. There goes nothing on the final finish cut on this cylinder. So the cylinder on the right, we're at our finished size for the sleeves that are over there. So now I got to center back up on this one, do one more rough cut, and the finish cut. And let's give it a finish cut. So I got the 2 sleeves started in, and we're gonna move over here to the press. I just put in this new BVA Hydrualics air over bottle jack, and this is something they sent to me for free to try out, so we're gonna see how it works. The press fit should be plenty to keep the sleeves in place, but I am going to use some Loctite retaining compound as a second assurance. I also have to give a huge shout out to BVA Hydrualics for sending this bottle jack to me, as well as some other hydraulic equipment for me to test out. Talk about an improvement over the Harbor Freight air bottle jack that I have been using on the press, and it's even quieter. So again, big thank you to BVA, and I'll drop some of their information in the description if you're interested in checking them out. Just to make this repair as solid as possible, we decided that it couldn't hurt to pin the new sleeves in place as well. So I started by drilling 3 holes through each sleeve. We're going to be using tapered cast iron plugs, which are generally used for repairing cracks in heads and blocks. After drilling, I used a tapered reamer to ream the holes, followed by a tapered tap for the plugs. I used some Loctite on each of the plugs and screwed them in until they were plenty snug. So the pins are in, all 3 of them. I'm going through and cutting out the outside now. So that's there is roughly what it's going to look like when it's done. So you'll see some marks there, but won't necessarily know what it is. And I should clarify that it's not that I don't want you to know what it is. Because, you know, we're not trying to hide this. Obviously, we're going to show this video to the customers, so they're going to know exactly what we did. But you know, from the outside, it'll just look like some scuffs. And the outsides of the pins are all cut off. Got to do the inside now. So it'll look something like that. Keep in mind, we still have to bore this. We're on the home stretch with this. We've got them all pinned in and everything. And basically I've centered back up on this cylinder right here, and I'm gonna bore it. Right now it's about 55 thousandths smaller than the finished bore size. So I'm gonna bore it to within 10 to start with, just as a rough bore. Finished bore size is 5.500, so I'm going to 5.490 here on my rough cut. Double checking everything. We've got this one done, ready to go in the cylinder hone, so I'm moving over to this one. I already chamfered the top of the cylinder. Now we're going to take our first rough cut. So now we got it back in the hone, and I let Dad take over from here. To start, he's honing just the new section of sleeve until it's the same size as the rest of the cylinder. On the left is the finished product, and on the right is before we hone. Are you having fun?
I'm having fun today.
With the new section of sleeve to the same size, he does a little bit of honing on the entire cylinder to blend it very well.
Let's get this thing in for a final wash. It looks great. I really don't think that anybody who doesn't know what they're looking for would even be able to tell that there are another section of sleeve in there or not. I think it looks pretty good. Cylinders came out straight in the hone, Dad said, so let's get it in.
Apparently I didn't have my GoPro microphone plugged in correctly, so we lost audio on the last minute or two of video here, but basically I got the block in the spray cabinet for a wash now that the machining was finished. Now, obviously nothing changed here on the top half of the cylinders, so it looks great as it did the first time it left our shop. However, on the bottom half, you can see that the second repair here just came out beautiful. It's a shame that we didn't get right the first time, but luckily the oversight was caught before anything catastrophic happened, and we were able to get the block back in the shop to fix it right. It's always unfortunate to make mistakes or just miss something like this, but I think it's important to show you guys that we are human, so we do make mistakes. That being said, we're not going to try to hide the mistakes we make, and I think honesty is the best policy, so you just have to own up to it and do what you can to make it right. We're 100% confident in this repair, and we want to thank our customer for being so understanding about this situation. As always, thank you all for supporting our small business journey. Don't forget to check out the description of this video for our other links, drop a comment with your thoughts, and like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.